Hi, Misha here, and it's Blackbox time, which I would assume you kind of guessed because, well, the title of the video has Blackbox in it, and because you're looking at a black box. But just in case that wasn't enough of a clue, yeah, here we are. So it's been a little while since I've done one of these. Not quite 2 weeks, but more than a week and a half. But I did do two of them kind of close together. Then, because of the recent news with Gun Borker, or some call it Gun Joker, that has just been frankly ramping up the fees ad nauseum, and at the same time not doing a very good job of keeping the trolls out, frankly. In fact, a customer of mine was telling me just yesterday that he had not exactly a scammer, but a fake account buy 3 of his auctions and then immediately leave 3 negative feedbacks on him. And it's kind of unusual because this account was originally made in 2002, so 19 years ago, older than my account. However, while the account had some activity going back that far, it had years of inactivity. I forget how many he told me. And only recently has it seemingly become active again. And since it blatantly went on there and bid, I would tend to think that it was hacked. And over the past year, I've observed this, not to that quite great extent, but I have had some accounts bid on my auctions that were old accounts that had tens, hundreds, even multiple hundreds of positive feedbacks in the past, but then basically bid on mine and then did nothing. Makes me wonder, makes me think, maybe Gunbroker's database, or at least some of the old account info, if it wasn't hacked or the database leaked. And I wonder if this happened during the buyout, because Gunbroker's under new ownership as of, what, a year ago, 6 months ago, whatever the hell it was. So something for everyone to kind of look out for. Be safe, because, you know, with all these fees and stuff, yeah, ultimately you can apply to Gunbroker and get it all done and taken back, but that's a lot of time, energy, and potentially money. My advice too, don't, if you're a seller especially, tie your Gunbroker account to your bank debit card. Tie it to a credit card, because it's easier to do chargebacks on a credit card if something goes FUBAR than it is to try to get money back on a debit card, because that money is straight out of your bank account. I hope you see what I'm saying there. This is kind of advice I give people on shopping online in general, even as a buyer. It is so much easier to get a credit card bill and say, I didn't make this charge, I'm not going to pay it. Typically, they make it real easy. You just tell them that, no, I didn't make it, and you sign some things, confirm it verbally, and of course it's legally submitted in court, and when they figure out who did it, they'll use that as evidence. And as long as you're being honest, it's easy peasy for you. However, with the debit card, you have to go through your bank, you have to fill out some paperwork, and it's not impossible to do. But with a credit card, you might be able to do it in 2 days. With the bank, it might take 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even a little longer. There's more of a dispute process with the debit, because they're actually having to put money back in your bank account. This is also why debit cards have higher fees associated with them, because the liability is much greater. But yeah, so the Gunbroker situation has not improved, and I've talked to more than a few, some of the major gun shops, major sellers, that have kind of lost faith in it. So if they don't want to slip out of the top spot, they're going to have to backtrack and do something quick. Otherwise, you know what? It doesn't take as much energy as you'd think to set up a new auction site. And all you'd need is a few of the big wigs to promote it. You know, for CNR guns, get Forgotten Weapons to talk about it. Or for modern guns, get Iraq Veteran or Military Arms Channel or TFB TV, any of those big guys to just start talking about it. And once you get some people there, and try to get some of the big sellers, you know, the big gun shops to start selling on there. And there's no reason you can't sell on multiple auction sites. There's nothing against that. I knew lots of people that sold on both Auction Arms and Guns America and Gunbroker when Auction Arms was still kind of relevant. So it's not a threat, it's not anything like that. It's just that they've made poor business decision after poor business decision in recent times. And it's really a shame too, because you know, last year was a boom year for firearms, and Gunbroker shared in that. Gunbroker made money on all those transactions, taking a percentage. I'm not going to say for doing nothing, but you know, they didn't have to stock up on the inventory and find it and do all that. Now, you know, you'd say it's different with YouTube, because a lot of people have talked about bailing on YouTube and going to a different video hosting site. That's more complicated. Having a website, having a server that supports auctions, that doesn't take a lot of storage, a lot of bandwidth. But having a video server, that's a lot of storage, and more importantly, that's a lot of bandwidth for people to log in. Too many people, they either get shut down, locked out until more people get off, or the website just crashes. So while trying to transition away from YouTube is pretty hard to do, especially with Google search, yeah, transitioning over to a new gun auction site, while it would take a while, is not impossible. And I'm not saying Gunbroker's finished tomorrow. I think they'll still be relevant throughout this year. But 6 months, a year, 2 years? Guys, I don't know. Personal feelings aside, it is, you know, just, I guess because they are part of the gun community, a lot of people will say bad things about them. I think everyone, myself included, has had a few bad experiences on there. But let's not forget, a lot of us have also had pretty good experiences on there. And I've found a lot of great guns. For example, Schrazel, you know, that Larry up in New York who sells on Gunbroker. I must have picked up a dozen guns that I just absolutely love from him on there. So, I don't know. I kind of want them to turn it around. And they are part of the gun community. And I don't like to see any member of the gun community fail. Be they a YouTuber, be they a gun shop, be they a manufacturer, be they an importer. It's just not how I roll. I know we're all different. I know you saying community is kind of a broad strokes thing, but still yet, I would hope we're all kind of in it together. We have similar values and hobbies, and we all support the Second Amendment and just kind of the right to, you know, you do you. That's, if you want to have my ideas kind of in one sentence, that's it. I think everyone has the right to just kind of do what makes them happy. As long as, of course, you know the deal, they don't infringe upon their neighbor's same right there. And I don't think that proper ethical gun ownership threatens your neighbor at all. If you operate them safely, they're perfectly fine. But we don't want to get into that now. Sitting outside the night, it's actually kind of a nice, cool night. It's not. We had some nights that got into the 60s, which is great for August. Right now, it's low 70s, around 72. Not bad for August in Arkansas. In my hometown, it was not at all uncommon for it to be 80, even 85 at night, and very stuffy. But unfortunately, this coming week is supposed to get pretty toasty again. It's supposed to get up to the low and mid 90s here where we live, and we are traveling home to see my family. close family member of mine just had surgery for a potentially major health issue. Just to keep confidentiality, I won't go into it, but I will say the surgery went well, and prognosis is generally speaking good. So we're going to go down and visit him and also check on my mother and whatnot. So we're just so excited, especially my wife. She just so loves the heat. But it's just what it is. After last year and not being allowed to travel, this year we're trying to go as much as possible, within reason, of course. So that's our plans for next week sometime. And speaking of next week, the gentleman who helps me in the evenings, logging guns out, labeling guns, even taking guns to the post office to ship them, he has been gone for 3 weeks out west with his family on vacation, which, more power to him. That's great. If I could take a 3-week vacation, I would. But it's kind of left me a limited usefulness, because it also coincides with a time when my wife has been working extra hours now. The first couple of weeks he was gone, she was filling in for her boss, so she was doing well over 50 hours a week plus commute. Now, with her boss being back, it's down a little bit to like 45, 46, but still yet she's been pretty busy. But the payout for that is she has next week off. She had some vacation time she needed to burn up, so she'll be off next week. So that's at least something. We'll have hopefully some time to take care of some odds and ends. I did get a chance to rearrange my shop room a bit. I was with a friend over at Home Depot and Lowe's a week ago, and wasn't really looking for one. I was actually looking for an outdoor table so we could record some videos outdoors when the weather's nicer. And I did find an outdoor table, but while we were there, I found a really good price on a neat little shop table, workbench type thing. So I couldn't really pass it up, so I picked it up from my room. And I keep a lot of stuff, magazines, some gun parts, holsters, just bric-a-brac, in 3 big plastic tubs that I picked up from Wally World 7 years ago. Well, they've been cracking and starting to kind of go meh on me. So while we were there, I picked up now 5 tubs. They're smaller, but they should hold up a little better because they'll be holding less weight each. And finally had time to kind of dump the old tubs and put the new tubs in and do a little bit of cleaning up. I know this is uber exciting, but it is nice to have time finally, as hectic as last year was, this year to slow down and clean some stuff up, take care of long-term projects, that kind of thing. So hopefully I'll have time next week. Last week our air conditioner went out. I'm not sure if I told you. Well, it didn't go out. It was still working. However, we live in Arkansas. Arkansas is humid, and the condenser thing, when they chill the air, the humidity, the water, well, the release pipe for the water to go out got clogged, and therefore it overflowed and flooded our floor. That was fun. Luckily, where it starts to puddle is right in a walkway in the hallway as you come into my office room. So I did step in it pretty quickly and noticed it pretty fast. I mean, not immediately, but well within time before it was a major issue. So we had to kind of run the air conditioner sparingly. But a friend helped me get an AC guy out, and he came in and found the problem and spent some time really cleaning it out good for us. That just kind of happens, unfortunately. The drainage isn't perfect there. It's kind of shallow, and yeah, it is what it is. And having pets doesn't help stuff too. Even if you change your filter every month or so, pet hair. What do you do? So yeah, this week's been a little more even keel and calm. As far as models, I just put out a video on the P-38. I've got a couple more helicopter videos, and finally have been able to pick up not a huge number, but at least some World War II Soviet fighter aircraft in 1/72 scale diecast. As I said in older videos, you know, you can find British, you can find American, you can find German for sure, but the other stuff is difficult. French and Italian, there's very little out there. Japanese, for a time, it was hard to find, but thanks to De Agostini and just the fact that Japan likes models and they're importing more of them, you can find a decent number of Japanese planes. In fact, I pretty much have the whole Key series now, and most of the Zero variants. I'm still hoping they'll import an A5M Claude, but Russian stuff has been very difficult. In the past, in the diecast, your best option was the LA5 Lavochkin plane that SkyMax did. Very high quality little piece. And IXO, which led to Atlas and all that, they did a Lavochkin LA7. Not quite as high quality model, but still looks fine with it. And about a year ago, some Yaks appeared. There was first some Oxford, which are, the good thing about Oxford, they are durable little models, and they're almost all metal, but they don't have any moving parts. They don't have spinning propellers, they don't have opening canopies, they don't have moving landing gear. So yeah, and they don't usually have as much in the way of details, like all the antenna and stuff. But last year, Atlas and now the Agostini are doing a Yak 3, and just now, last week, I got in a Yak 9, specifically a Yak 9T, which is the one with the big 37mm cannon in its nose, and that is just cool. So I'm really excited to give you a video on that, hopefully soon. And more importantly, one I've been wanting for a long time, a MiG-3. Oxford never did a MiG-3, at least that I've seen. If they did, it was a long time ago. Atlas never did. The only MiG-3 I could find at 1/72 scale was not actually die-cast. It was a polymer or plastic model from Easy Models. Now, Easy Models, they're not bad. They are pre-painted, and sometimes they do have spinning propellers and even rolling landing gear, but they don't have retractable, extendable landing gear. They don't have opening canopies, and they're plastic, and they look pretty good, says the blind guy, but they don't have the heft of anything metal. You don't really notice it with diecast how nice that heft is, because you pick even, like, say, an IL-2 up from Easy Models, even though it's a big plane, it's light as a feather, just an ounce or two. And I like the weight, and from a durability standpoint, having a metal plane, yeah, they can break, but you can usually glue them back, and they can bend, but you can usually bend. But with plastic, once they go, yeah, and being metal, they're just less likely to get knocked over compared to plastic. So I'm pretty happy that finally we have a MiG-3. It's still kind of the old IXO tooling, but it's imported by De Agostini as part of their collection. So you get gear up or down, you get spinning propeller, you get the antenna. And yeah, that really kind of completes the MiG collection, except would someone please do a MiG-19? You know, we've got MiG-15s, we've got MiG-17s, we've got MiG-21s galore. I can't find a MiG-19 in 1/72 scale for anything. If anyone's seen one, even an Easy Model at this point, let me know, please. They've also imported a few Russian helicopters in the metal, which is neat, but I'm still waiting for someone to do an Mi-24 Hind in the 1/72 scale diecast. And it's very odd they don't. They do the Mi-8, the Mi-17 there. They do the Mi-1, Mi-2, Mi-4, even several variants of it. it doesn't appear to be a licensing thing, but they don't do a Mi-24. And that's just next to like the Huey and the Apache. That's up there amongst the most famous combat helicopters of all time. So come on, please, someone do that. That'd be great. The Hobbymaster U2, I think, turned out really well. And Hobbymaster is doing some pretty neat things through this year and coming in the next year. They're doing a Sukhoi Su-30, which is the two-seat interceptor. They're doing more Harrier types, including a Spanish and an Italian. And I'm all about, Harriers. They're just cool. They're doing a Japanese Air Self-Defense Force reconnaissance F4 or RF4 Phantom. So that's pretty neat. And what made me happiest of all, they just announced they're doing another run of their Junkers, their Ju-87, and it's the one I was hoping they would do, the 87G. That's the tank killer one with the big potted guns under the wings. So even though it won't be out till next year, I'm already pre-ordering that. They're also doing another Ju-87D. But I've already got an old Hobbymaster Ju-87D, so I don't need two. But the G, I will happily take one of those. Back when Aiken was doing their kind of year-end clean-out last December, they found one of the old 87Gs from Hobbymaster, and I wanted it really badly, but they had $150 on it, and I didn't want it that badly. Because when those came out, they were like 30, 40, maybe $50. So I don't mind paying a little bit of a premium, but yeah. And now I'm kind of glad I've waited, because now I'll get a brand new aircraft, and it won't be $40 anymore, but I think they're still under 100. As far as Eagle Moss, I've pre-ordered quite a bit of stuff in May and June, including the next two Battlestar Galacticas, several of the Star Trek, and I think there was something else, one other collection. And even though a lot of stuff was due in July, nothing made it. We're now well into August, and that's kind of odd for Eagle Moss. They tend to stick to their ETAs on their website pretty good, sometimes even shipping early. But it's been crickets for a month, so I'm hoping they'll ship me something interesting soon, because wouldn't mind doing some more sci-fi models. Specifically, I'm really looking forward to their next two Battlestar Galacticas. They're both colonial ships from the Blood and Chrome era. One of them is a support ship, another one's a kind of a pocket Battlestar, a little light Battlestar, and so they'll join the little fleet we have really well. I like the colonial ships. The Cylon stuff's okay. Some of it even I kind of like quite a bit, but the colonial stuff makes me happiest, especially the big capital ships. I like the Vipers, they're great. I like the Raptors, but the Battlestars, for me, if I can only have one set, that'd be what it would be, is the big Battlestars. It's kind of how I roll. So that's what's going on in the model world, both real world models and fiction. I'm hoping stuff will cut loose. What'll probably happen is it'll all clump up and then come in at once, and I'll have one big giant box and be overwhelmed. But that's okay. So, gun world. I did have one really neat gun that a friend loaned me, and then I helped him find it at home. It was a Brazilian copy, a take on, let's say, the German Gewehr 43, the World War II gun, an 8mm Mauser. Well, this copy clone by Imbel, known as the M954, was chambered for 30-06, and it used a cut-down BAR mag. and they're pretty uncommon, frankly. And this one was in really nice shape. If I collected Imbel stuff, well, I would have been tempted to keep it. If it had been Argentinian, it would have been a hard one for me to turn loose of. But to be fair, I've had my fun. I've got my toys recently, and I know when it's the time to indulge a little bit, and when it's a time to not. So I never had any serious entertainment of keeping it, although I really love getting to take it apart and study it, because that's a pretty rare opportunity. Same gentleman also loaned me both the day scope and the night scope made by Enosa in Spain for the SetMe Model LV, which I just published a video on the main Mishaco channel kind of previewing. And if that's not cool enough, I also just got in some of the LVSs with the British SUSAT scope, and those are used by the Spanish Navy. Now, we're not just going to stop with the kind of a table talk preview. My new editor, he's kind of wanting to try out some new tricks and things with cameras. So I said, well, this will be interesting. Let's try to get some shots through the scopes at the range, not just with the day scopes, the Enosa and the SUSAT, but also with the Enosa Starlight scope. So that'll be interesting. That also means we'll have to do an overnight trip at the range. Oh dear. I'm actually looking forward to that. We might have to wait till September, unless the weather continues to be decent, but it's supposed to get pretty hot for the last couple of weeks in August. So yeah, probably maybe a Labor Day or after weekend getaway, but it should make for an interesting video for all of us, hopefully. What else? Well, the Barils are doing well. I've sold a number of the mini Barils. Like a lot of little pistols, they're not for everyone, and I get that. But for someone looking for someone who's into crinks, man, they're cool. And then the Baril 7.6239s came in, and only got a couple, but they sell well. Of course, a lot of people still want the Baril 5.56, but they're already gone. There'll be another batch in about 2 months, but yeah, FB, Luxniks, they just don't have a lot of leftover production capacity. They're building pistols for the government. They're building the MSBS, the Grot, and so they only really build the Baril semi-autos for us as they get time and as they have the leftover parts. But WBP in Poland is a really good source. They can deliver more, but even they're a pretty small factory, and they're doing more of the AKM pattern stuff. But I'm hoping to see more for them, and they've been talking more and more about 5.56 projects. But yet again, I reiterate, there's still no word on 5.45, and the guys in Poland are insistent that they're not going to do it. Now, I'm not saying I think they will or they won't. I'm just telling you that both FB and WBP are insistent they won't do a 5.45. So that's them saying it, not me. As I've said before, I think your best bet for 5.45 is to hope Century orders some more from Cusier in Romania, because especially with them retiring more and more of their military guns, why not do another run of Wasser 2s? And heck, with the guns being retired, why not do them like they did the Wasser 1063s? And by that I mean build them, new receiver, semi-auto, new barrel, but original military trunnion, bolt group, all that, so you get all the cool dates and markings. I'd even buy, I don't even need one, and I'd buy a Wasser 263, or they really should call it a 286. And yeah, that'd be really cool to build them. I think that would benefit everyone, Century, them, and there's probably some money to be made there if they can get their hands on enough demilled military guns. I'd also love to see a Draco in 5.45 now that there's no really good reason not to do one. Before they didn't do it because Century and Kuger were smart enough. They didn't want to upset the whole armor-piercing pistol ammo thing. That's actually what led to the banning of the 7 and 6 ammo back in 2011, 2012, whenever it was. The ATF considered that ammo to be... Sorry, weird noise from Bug. Century considered that ammo to be armor-piercing. But since there was no pistol on the books firing 5.45, it didn't matter. Yeah, I know that small builders made crank pistols. We're talking official, brand new production, registered with the ATF pistols. But what put the kibosh on that, IO asked for permission to import an Onyx pistol, very much honestly like the Mini Baril, but whereas the Mini Baril is in 5.56, the Onyx pistol would have been in 5.45. Honestly, that would have been kind of cool, and the ATF did approve it, but then that put a 5.45 on the books, and hey, then the ammo couldn't be imported. So yeah, good old IO. That actually would be neat. I'm just sitting here thinking, yeah, an Onyx pistol would be pretty rad. Kind of go along with your Tantal, even though they only made a few hundred, and the military only had a few for testing more than anything else. Why not? But anyway, what else is going on in life? Don't know. I've mostly been just working, kind of catching up on stuff, working on video topics. A lot of my friends have been on vacation, so I'm just kind of waiting myself. But people will start getting back before Labor Day, and that'll be good to kind of get back to more of a normal schedule, if something can be said. But wanted to give you a bit of a long black box because I haven't in nearly 2 weeks. Again, not a whole lot of new stuff to report, but I'm kind of optimistic about what options we do have. So yeah, we'll just have to see how things go. But all around, looking forward to September, cooler weather, and all that good jazz. So what about yourself? Any plans? Anything cool going on? Any new gun purchases or model purchases? I would ask watching any new good TV, but I've kind of zoned out on entertainment like that a long time ago. At least all the Star Wars kerfuffle seems to have died down. That was, even though I tended to agree with a lot of the video stuff about it, it was getting a little repetitive listening to people complain about the same things over and over, if that makes sense. I don't know. Who knows? I guess I'm just interested in other things now, but that's okay. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed this black box, and I'll continue to put out some stuff here and working on some hopefully neat stuff for the Mishaco channel. Yeah, doing the anniversary video just took a lot of time and energy, so still kind of recouping from that. Anyway, as usual, if you please could like, share, subscribe. And with that, this is Misha, and I'll catch you very soon. Next time.